And so you've got to figure out, okay, what's going to make me stand out from everybody else? And good branding inside of your industry is one of those things. Well, hello there, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I want to talk today about the importance of branding for your business, because I think it's kind of like almost like a loosey-goosey concept. I think a lot of people don't understand what branding actually is and what it isn't. I know that years ago, I used to think that branding was like just the logo that you used and your colors, and not really realizing that like branding is not just like your logo and colors and tagline. It's like how people think about your business. It's like your reputation almost in their mind. It's like what makes you recognizable, memorable, and unique. It's like the story and things that your business communicates. Um, it's how like people feel about your business and what they actually connect with. And so I want to talk about branding today. But first, I would like to wish my son, Easton Allwood, who is the one that is responsible for always putting this podcast up onto YouTube. I want to wish him a very happy 21st birthday. So if you would do me a hot solid, and if you're watching this on YouTube, if you would just wish Easton a happy birthday below, that would make my day. This is the first time I have not been with like one of my children on their birthday. Except for Easton. Do you remember when you were like 8 years old and I had the opportunity? Was it, you would have been, no, you couldn't have been 8 because it hasn't been that many years ago, because it was like 8 years ago. Anyway, it was going to be your birthday, but I had an opportunity to be with Chip and Joanna Gaines down in Waco. And they were doing an event. My friend Chrissy Huff from Restoration Emporium was going down there. I invited myself to go with her. You know, we had an opportunity to be in a room with Joe when it was like 60 women or something, and there was a meet and greet, and it was fabulous. We got pictures and all the things. And so, do you remember me asking you, Easton, honey, this is on your birthday, and so like I'll be here first thing in the morning to wish you a happy birthday, and then mom would have to leave. Like, are you okay with that? And you said you were okay with that, but we all know that you and your father constantly remind me of that one time when I missed my son's birthday. And so now I'm missing it again, and I'm sorry, and I love you. And I know you're always just joking with me about that. But back to branding. Okay. So here's why branding matters. Okay. Let me just say this. Branding matters because it's something that like builds trust with people. It's like consistency in your messaging, consistency in design, like your graphics and things, consistency on your website with like, you know, a consistent set of fonts and colors and all those things. And the reason why it's important is because it does build trust with potential people who want to give you money at some point. But the reason it builds trust is this. Listen, I think that 10 years ago, it was easier to be sloppy with things like branding. And in the year 2024 and beyond, it just isn't, because there's more people in the online space. There are more people doing what you're doing. And it's not that the markets are saturated. It's just that there's more competition. And so you've got to figure out, okay, what's going to make me stand out from everybody else? And good branding inside of your industry is one of those things. Because in the mind, like psychologically, sales is actually a psychological thing. Like when people buy something from you, there's a psychological thing that happens before people hit the buy now button. Okay. And so people want to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. They just do, especially if they've never done business with this company or this person before. And so when they see sketchy branding and, you know, your colors are light blue and gold over here on this page of your website, but then you switch over to this page and then it's like you're introducing bright red on the website and the font has changed. Like they don't maybe even recognize that psychologically they're seeing a little bit of a disconnect in their branding, in your branding, which then is planting a seed in their mind that like, be careful buying from these people, or warning, or are you sure you want to spend money here? Or make sure this is not just, you know, some rinky dink business, but that it's actually like safe for you to put in a credit card. Does that make sense? Like branding builds trust. And so you've got to have some decent branding. It's one of the things that is going to set you apart from your competitors. It is just more crowded in the online space. And so you've got to figure out how to make your website just look more professional? How do you make your social media come across as more professional? How do you make sure, when you're trying to get people onto your email list and you've got a pop up on your website, et cetera, like how do you make sure that those things are conveying the idea that people can give you a debit card, they can give you a credit card because you are trustworthy? And if you're in an industry where you're like, everybody just kind of throws up a website, listen, you make something that distinguishes you from everybody else in your industry, and like winner, winner, chicken dinner, you're halfway there to the sale. And so think about like your unique brand identity, like the design that really represents you and your business, the tone of voice that you want to use, both on your website and your social media posts. Those are the things that will help you to stand out from other people. I'm constantly telling my clients, like, if I was to meet you in real life, and your personality is really snarky and sarcastic, et cetera, well, then don't like have your website be all professional and hoity-toity and like, because that's not on brand for you. That's not accurate branding. You really want for it to be a reflection of you, and it'll be consistent if it's accurate. Does that make sense? Like, you will never see me showing up, acting super professional on any of my, websites, landing pages, social media, whatever, because that's not on brand for me. I have a very chaotic brain. I'm very much all over the place. I'm also a whole lot of fun. I can be pretty funny. And tell him, Easton, can I be pretty funny? And so like, that's the brand. That's like what you should gather when you're looking at anything from Team Allwood. Does that make sense? Good branding really creates a lot of customer loyalty. It does, because it's that know, like, and trust factor. They go from maybe just buying from you once to just being loyal fans. They feel like they develop a connection with you. One of the things that I've always thought is one of the greatest compliments that my followers give me is when they say a couple of things. Like when they say, I knew before I even looked that post was from you, Jennifer. Or when they say, Jennifer, I hear your voice in my head. And they're not talking about like creepy Halloween movies. But they're talking about, they've heard my Facebook Lives back when I used to do Facebook Lives almost every day for a long hot minute. They've listened to my podcast. They've come to a live event with me. They have heard me speak. They've heard me pray. They've heard me teach. And so hopefully there's a consistent thread through all of that, which then just starts kind of being on replay sometimes in the minds of people. I think about one of my business coaches and like how on brand she is across all social medias, and how I would hear her voice in my head sometimes as well. So consistency is really, really key. And I want you to know that branding really does influence purchasing decisions, because purchasing, again, it's a psychological decision. It's psychological. There are things that have to happen mentally for you to feel safe putting in a credit card. And if you're like, I'm just buying a sweater, I don't need to feel safe. Yeah, but if you're in a checkout, if you got something in the cart and you're feeling like, warning, let me give you, let me give you a good example. Can I give you a good example? Okay. So last week, I see this really cute dress on this Instagram account that I follow. I think it's called like Sand and Charcoal. And the dress is adorable. But, when I added shipping and everything, it's over $100 for a dress that's in the color brown. I don't really wear brown. I've never ordered clothing from them before, even though I follow them. And I was being lazy about researching what the return policy could be. I was looking at getting this particular dress for a wedding that we've got coming up, but also it's pretty clingy. And I'm like, do I feel like giving up donuts between now and the wedding so that I'm okay with the clinginess? I don't know. What if I get it and I don't want it? It's over $100. Do I order? So I thought to myself, let me do like that reverse Google search. Let me see if anybody else has got this exact same dress for a little bit less. So I found a company that has a dress for $27. And so first of all, a little bit of a warning bell goes off. So I take a screenshot of this company and I send it to my friend Samantha, because we talk clothing all the time. And I'm like, okay, have you ever heard of this company? She's like, no. I'm like, me neither. But it's, here's the difference in price. This company was going to be over $100. This one's $27. And she's like, well, for $27, what do you have to lose? I'm like, I know, right? So I look at my husband, who has his debit card numbers memorized because he's, crazy. I'm kidding. Because he's amazing. He's brilliant. I'm like, babe, what's your debit card number? He gives it to me and the order doesn't go through. Now I don't get like a, denied or anything like that, but it's like, there's spinning and it's just like, I'm not getting an email that says the order went through, and I'm trying to figure out, did the order go through? Like, I can't decide. So I try putting it through again. I go right back through the whole checkout process. So now almost there's like a seed has been planted. I hope this is going to be okay. Like, is there something wrong with their debit card? There's something wrong with the site. So I say to my husband, I'm like, you sure you gave me all the right numbers? And he's like, yeah, give me your phone. So I give him my phone. He tries it. And he's like, yep, you're right. It's not going through. And he goes, let me just get a different debit card. So he goes and gets a different debit card, one he doesn't have the numbers memorized to, and he puts that in. And he's like, yeah, it's not going through, babe. And I'm like, okay, weird. So I go down to the bottom of this website and there's a place where you can hit contact and send them an email. So I sent them an email and I'm like, hey, we've tried to order this dress, 4 different times today. It's not going through. Is there something potentially wrong on your site? Several hours later, that email gets bounced back to me. So now I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Turns out it was a total scam, and they had to shut down both of our debit card numbers. The bank did. The bank turned the cards off because apparently there are those scammers that are in the background that like you enter your card number and they steal said card number and then they go use that card number on other things. So I did go ahead and order the $100 dress to the glory of God, and hopefully I love it. But so what I'm saying is, there is like, since purchasing is such a mental decision, when you have little things that are glitchy like that are not consistent, that raise some red flags, telling you, it makes it just harder for people to go ahead and hit the checkout button. So I want you to really look at your branding. I really do. I want you to give it a look and consider, is your branding consistent? Do you need help in this area? How can we help you? We have a business in a box right now. You heard it hopefully in the middle of this podcast. I'd love for you to go check that out at jenniferallwood.com/business in a box. And we can just do the branding for you because it matters. I hope that this was beneficial today. We'll talk real soon. Okay.